What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're here at Lake Julian Disc Golf Course and we're doing kind of a disc review / comparison with the Discmania S-Line PD. We have a couple of different types of PD. We have the last Howl, which is Signature Series Swirl S-Line PD. We have the Nordic Phenom, which is Special Blend S-Line PD. So we had Special Blend Swirl and then Special Blend. We have the Horizon Nordic Phenom 2. And then to top it all off, we have just a normal stock stamp S-Line PD. So we have several special edition and signature series to test against just kind of a normal. I know that the Horizon is slightly more torque resistant than the other two, or than the normal S-Line. Don't know about the other ones. And that last Howl is too pretty to not pick up since I already bagged PDs. So we'll see how they all fly today. Gonna start off with just the normal S-Line and then we'll go some of the more signature series ones. Hole number 1 here from the medium pad, it's gonna be a flex forehand or just a backhand hyzer, but I've already a little bit warmed up, so I probably can reach it with forehand flex, so we're gonna go that route. All right, it's a little bit too much turn. So Nordic Phenom 2. Oh, I'm pulling them all. Pulling all of them. That's better. And it's in the water. Last Howl. Look how pretty. Their new swirls that they're coming out with are so pretty. I mean, they're all great discs. I don't know if I'm going to come up with some type of not torque resistant, more torque resistant necessarily with the rain that's coming down. Hopefully we're just going to throw some fun shots and dodge some raindrops. So after fishing out all of the discs out of the water, because some of them that look like they hit on land were actually upside down floating down the stream towards the lake. So had to fish a whole bunch of discs out of the water. And lucky for me, I was smart enough to actually bring a towel. So we're gonna chat for just a minute while I dry these discs off. So based off of previous experience, the Horizon plastic is slightly more stable, not really stable, just more torque resistant, because they still fade about the same. But the S-Line PD tends to have a touch more flip at the beginning, especially on a forehand. If you really torque on it, it's going to roll a little bit more than the Horizon one. And I'm not really certain as to why that is, because Discmania says that their Horizon plastic is just different mixtures, which I don't know what Horizon plastic they're feeling, but mine definitely feels like two different types of plastic. It feels like C-Line on the outside and S-Line in the middle, but that could entirely be, the way it feels for me. These Special Blend S-Lines, if the Horizon is just S-Line that's something has been done to it, then these Special Blend S-Lines should fly similar to the Nordic Phenom 2 as far as torque resistance, but they should all fly fairly similar as far as it's still a PD and they're still all fairly new. This disc I've thrown once, and to make somebody else's day happy, this is going to be added at the end of the video. I'm going to put this in the box for the 1,500 subscriber giveaway. We already have a Swarm, a Dart, a Passion, and a Detour. I think that those are the 4 we've got so far. And then adding in a Nordic Phenom, so a Special Blend S-Line PD. You guys are going to love this. PD is a great disc. The reason I stopped here was to kind of compare a little bit these two PDs, basically the exact same cross section, but what you'll notice different is that these other two PDs have the same, these two PDs have the same cross section, but the cross section of the four of them is actually slightly different, because the normal S-line and the Horizon have a little bit more dome than these special runs. Not sure if the dome gives it more flip or if the dome gives it more torque resistance, because this one also has the dome and is also torque resistant. So it's probably just something that they're doing with the plastic. Anyways, 4 backhand hyzers. Let's see if we can get close to the basket. Probably not, it's a long way away. Nordic Phenom. Oh, I flipped that one. Yeah. Let's get a good rip with this one. Had to give it a little bit of turn. I don't know what happened to those other ones, just like slipped straight out of my hand. We got our last forehand hole for today, and we're only gonna play 2 more holes after this. It is still kind of storming, and I don't want to be out here too long because camera can get damaged. So, S-line PD should theoretically have a tiny bit of flip up to it, whereas these 3 should theoretically hold exactly the line you put them on as soon as they leave your hand. Theoretically. Yeah, got a little bit of a flip up. Also didn't throw it super hard, a little bit nose up. Man, this disc is so pretty. Very similar colors to my Captain's Raptor. It's one of the reasons I like it so much. Yeah, no flip up, stayed exactly where I put it, and then faded. Let's go with the giveaway Nordic Phenom. I threw that more turned, and I gave it a lot more torque, and it flipped up to flattish, but also that was mainly because I threw it flattish. This one should fly almost identical to the last Howl. I didn't throw it the same, but the last Howl and the Nordic Phenom 2 are almost identical discs, and whereas their special blend S-line, I think it gives it a touch more torque resistance and a touch more stability. I think their Horizon S-line does definitely give it more torque resistance than your normal special blend or just stock S-line. So if you're looking for something with more torque resistance, if you're loving to throw that forehand shot, get one of the Horizon ones, or get one of the special blend ones that's a little bit flatter, not quite as domey. This one, this last Howl I have, is pretty flat as far as PDs go. I've noticed most of them are fairly domey. So it's on the flatter side for PDs, and it's holding up to the same amount of torque that the Horizon S-line was holding up to. So something to think about. All right, this hole we're going straight hyzer because I don't want to lose any of them, and if I flex them, they're gliding enough they might be able to push too far. So test them all, punch them on hyzer, backhand hyzer, see what happens. And of course, starting off, control group, S-line PD. Nordic Phenom 2. So the Nordic Phenom 2 and the S-line PD. S-line is domier. Nordic Phenom is one of the flatter ones, so it has more of the torque resistance. But when you have a slightly domier disc starts to fade, it's going to be a much more gradual and soft finish. It's going to push a lot further straight as it's fading. One of the reasons I like the domier discs in this PD slot. The flatter one just kind of dumped a little bit harder. That's what you're gonna get. There's a domey one. Now we're gonna go with a flatter one. Yeah, it's a little bit more of a sharper fade. It's not more overstable. It just doesn't fade as softly. When it does fade, they both are fading at the same angle, but the domey or disc is going to stay in the air a little bit longer. You're going to get a little bit more push straight and even a little bit more push to the left. A slight flatter top disc is pretty much just going to kind of dump. It's going to dump in the direction that it's fading, but it's not going to give you that push you're looking for. So I'm actually considering taking the Nordic Phenom 2 out of my bag and putting in the last Howl, just so that I have a domey and a more flat, so that I can have two slightly different shot shapes instead of just having two discs that do the same thing and one is just a backup. Interesting thing to think about. We might revisit that on the TF18. Can't think of a better finishing hole to end off on than this wide open beauty. No likelihood of your discs getting lost unless you throw them really terrible. And if anyone was wondering, special blend S-line PDs seem to be the same across the board as long as you check your dome levels. So if it's going to be a domey PD, it's going to fly similar to other special blend S-line domey PDs, and your flatter ones are going to fly similar to their flatter ones. So Nick, I know you asked me this earlier, Nordic Phenom versus last Howl, basically identical. This one's just prettier. This is the one I'm keeping. And some of you guys get to go out and have some fun throwing a Nicholas Antela signature series. So hopefully that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna throw 2 backhands and 2 forehands. And I'm gonna split these two up. Since these are the flat ones, I'm gonna pair each one of them up with one of the domier discs. Starting off with the backhand, we're gonna go Nordic Phenom versus S-line PD. Gotta make sure this one is dry as well. Gonna throw, now granted I could always mess up a release or something, but I'm gonna predominantly try to put these out backhand flat to soft flexes. Gonna need all my capabilities here. Sit right in there. Good. All right, which one should we go first with? Let's go with the S-line PD first. It's been kind of the stock. This is what you're gonna get from a normal PD you can get. Soft flex, just babyest of flexes, and that's like 375 maybe. Pretty decent rip for me. Nordic Phenom 2. Let's put this one on a touch more anhyzer. See how much faster it bites back? It's not biting back faster because it's more overstable. It's biting back faster because it's flat. And so it's not just gonna hold that drift for as long because it doesn't have the dome to keep it in the air. Next, we're gonna go forehand. And actually, I'm gonna switch you to the other side of the T-pad because the forehand films better from this side of the T-pad than from that side of the T-pad. So let's go. Yeah, let's go Nordic Phenom 2 first. If I get a good rip with these, I don't think the wind's the same way, but I have gotten a good rip to the Mando sign. So hopefully we'll be able to pump them hard enough. It's about 360, not full flex, but softish flex. Let's see how this handles the forehand flex. Turn it. It seemed to fight out pretty early on hole 1, so I think it's going to be somewhat similar. Also, I know Colton Montgomery says this is his last Howl. I'm fairly certain he's still on Team Discmania, so maybe he's switching to a different mold. Who knows? I plan on so much anhyzer. And guess what? It's still flat out and faded to the right. What can you do? Sometimes the flatter discs are the discs that are going to be really useful in certain situations, and at this point I'm fairly certain that I think I might be pulling out, I think I'm going to be pulling out the Frosty Nordic Phenom 2. It's coming out of the bag for now. We're going to put the last Howl in, at least as a placeholder for now. If I don't like it in some of the rounds that I end up playing with it, maybe I'll switch it back. But for now, I'm going to throw a normal S-Line PD, and we're going to have one of the flat ones so that we have a little bit more flexibility and flexing ability, I guess. Anyways, if you enjoy content like this, make sure to like the video. If you want to see something new, make sure to comment that down below, and make sure to subscribe for all these subscriber-only giveaways and for all the content as soon as it drops. Until next time, see you out on the course.